Public and A to order. Will Kevin please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Will the clerk please call the roll?
So, Mr. Chair, I have trustee De La Vega, trustee Ingram, and trustee Shealy not present.
And have any of the absent members missed 3 consecutive meetings?
No, ma'am.
Welcome to the June 10th, 2025 meeting of the Havre School District Board of Trustees. A copy of tonight's meeting agenda is on the table near the door. At this meeting, the board takes official action on agenda items. Items of information and discussion may also be on the agenda. Comments will be solicited from the audience throughout the meeting. Following introduction of the agenda item, the board chair will recognize those who wish to speak to the item. If you have comments, please come to the microphone so the board can hear you. Following input from the public on a given item, the board may ask questions, then public input will cease and board deliberations will begin. Please note that the board is bound by ethical practice, district policy, negotiated agreements, and Montana statute to protect the privacy rights of its employees and students. Therefore, comments which may be construed as evaluative of the performance of a district employee are not allowed in an open meeting. The board has developed policies and procedures to process concerns about programs, curriculum, learning materials, and personnel. The public will be given an opportunity to bring to the board general questions and comments immediately following items of new business in the public comment portion at our board meeting. The board may not take any action on matters brought to the attention of the board during this period unless specific notice of that matter is included in a properly noticed agenda. Therefore, in the public comment portion of the meeting, the board will not discuss or take any action, but may refer a matter presented to a future agenda. Thank you for attending our meeting. And at this time, we have a presentation and display. We have some outstanding achievement awards. The Board of Trustees wishes to recognize excellence in Havre Public Schools. Individuals, teams, or groups selected for this recognition must undergo a nomination process. Tonight, we would like to recognize several students for their outstanding achievement in the 2024-2025 school year.
Yep, and so this is our spring sport, all-state athletes. So anytime you're nominated and then receive all-state recognition, there's a real criteria that goes into play. And so we thought it would be nice to start doing that again this year. We had our fall, winter, and now our spring sport all-state athletes from softball, track, and tennis. So
perfect. So I'll read your name and Mrs. Bitts has a certificate for you if you would come down and be recognized. And then if you'll stay, we'll get a picture with everybody after we're done. So we have Camille Keeley for all-state softball. Rachel Jetty for all-state softball. Max Spangler for all-state tennis. Carter Shagnon for all-state tennis. Macy Brandon for all-state track. Cadence Ryder for all-state track. Macy May for all-state track. Roma Gum for all-state track. Dacine for Plugan for all-state track. Katie Tillman for all-state track. Ella Harbor for all-state track. and Tommy Lewis for all state track. And we'll have our board join our students and get a photo real quick. And congratulations to you all for your achievement and representing Havre Public Schools.
Parents and students, if you'd like to stay, you certainly can, but you can also exit stage door left if you'd like. Have a great night. Thanks for coming.
Do we have any agenda deletions or corrections?
None at this time, Madam Chairman.
So at this time, we'll move forward with the consent agenda. Is there any board discussions or questions on the consent agenda? Okay. The chair would entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion to approve the unanimous consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It has been moved by Lorraine and seconded by Kevin that we approve the consent agenda as presented. Does any board member wish to speak to the motion? Does any member of the public wish to speak to the motion? Okay. With that, I would move forward with a vote. So all in favor, please raise your hand. And the motion passes unanimously. And our next item is our safe return to schools and continuity of services plan.
There are no changes to the safe return to schools and continuity of service plan. And again, this is the last time we will have this on the agenda. So this will be moving off starting on July 1st for all school districts. So.
Okay. And next on our items of new business, we have item D1, the consideration of revised policy 4330P, community relations on second and final reading.
Yes, I recommend the approval of the consideration of revised policy 4330P, community relations upon the second and final reading. Just as a quick reminder, we made financial adjustments to both the high school and middle school facility use. Havre Public Schools also added in language regarding additional cleaning fee of $200 of its facility if it's found in disarray. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them. But again, this is the second reading.
I have one question. Is that a per day use?
Correct. Yep. Or, I mean, we kind of talked about it too, Garrett, like from a standpoint, if there was a block of time, let's say they were using it for 3 days, you know, the cleaning fee would be assessed at the end of that. But if they were separate ones that were individual, we would look at that as those as well.
And then the individual charges, like if they're using the gym or whatever,
Right.
that's a per day charge.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Or, you know, I mean, we may navigate that on a group. Hey, we
Yeah,
want to
I
use this
just
for
was
3,
curious
but
if that's how it
Yep.
broke down.
Yep.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Gum on the policy revision? Okay. The chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve policy 4330P on final reading.
And is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved by Garrett and seconded by Lorraine that we approve agenda item D1, the consideration of revised policy 4330P, community relations on second and final reading. Does any board member wish to speak to the motion? Does any member of the public wish to speak to the motion? Okay. Those in favor, please raise your hand. And the motion passes unanimously, 5-0. Okay, agenda item D2, which is the consideration of revised policy 3510, school-sponsored student activities on second and final reading.
Yes, I recommend the approval of the consideration of revised policy 3510, school-sponsored student activities upon this second and final reading. Just as a reminder, we're formally placing language into this policy that breaks down how Havre Public Schools will operate when it comes to eighth grade participation. The language, once adopted, will not only be available in this policy, but will be woven into both the high school and middle school handbooks to alleviate low eighth grade numbers in the middle school. When this situation would occur, sixth grade students will have an opportunity to try out for middle school volleyball and boys and girls basketball. So Heather and Kurt are also available if you have any questions from the middle school perspective.
One question, has there been any other input or concerns or considerations that have been raised since our last meeting when we discussed this last time? Okay. Great. Okay,
And I
Thank
haven't heard
you.
any from-
questions or comments or discussion? Okay. The chair would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the revised policy 3510, school-sponsored student activities.
Okay. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Kevin and seconded by Garrett that we approve agenda item D2, the consideration of revised policy 3510 for school-sponsored student activities on second and final reading. Does any board member wish to speak to the motion? Does any member of the public wish to speak to the motion? Okay. All those in favor, raise your hand. And the motion carries unanimously 5-0. Okay, next item up for discussion is D3, which is the consideration of our MTSBA dues for the 2025-2026 school year.
Yes, I recommend the approval of the MTSBA dues for the 25-26 school year as presented. These are annual dues that are renewed annually. We use MTSBA for a variety of things. I mean, they're very efficient at providing not only policy work, but just answers when we come into situations that in a school district can occur weekly. So we will just come into a lot of different things. As you know, they also provided guidance when it came to strategic continuous school improvement plans. So they do some work with that, as well as then they also provide workshops for like board training with superintendent and board relations and how that all looks. So I'd recommend moving forward with these as we use their services a lot.
And those dues have stayed fairly, stagnant over.
Yep. Moses and I were just kind of looking at that and yeah,
It
it's
has
pretty
been.
consistent.
I appreciated their advocacy, especially with the STARS Act, and I feel
Right.
like they did a lot of work for schools this year.
Yep. Yep,
So,
for sure.
there any other questions or comments for Mr. Gum?
When we've asked questions, we haven't gotten any weird, like that's not covered under your subscription.
Correct.
Okay.
No, nope.
I just want to make sure they weren't like, oh yeah, read
Yeah.
this and then get you with, well, that's
No.
not included.
Yeah, no. But that would be good to know for sure.
But no ad fee, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Any other question? Okay, the chair would entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion to approve the consideration of MTSBA dues for 2025. As presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
It has been moved by Lorraine and seconded by Garrett that we approve item D3, the MTSBA dues for 2025-2026 as presented. Does any board member wish to speak to the motion? Does any member of the public wish to speak to the motion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. And the motion carries unanimously 5-0. Sorry. that one. Okay, next up is item D4, which is the consideration of our MHSA dues for catastrophic and concussion insurance.
Sure. I recommend the approval of the annual MHSA dues and catastrophic and concussion insurance for the 25-26 school year as presented. So a little background with this, if you notice in looking through your board packet, Kim and I have already signed these as well as Mark Irvin. So this kind of came to light just a little bit ago when Tim had let me know that since COVID, I guess pre-COVID, this was one that always used to go in front of the board, and we hadn't done that since then. So he just kind of wanted to see this go back in front of the board. Like I said, we'd already signed these and then it kind of came up, but it is in front of you now. So, and this basically in a nutshell, a lot of times I think where this came into play for the board, for instance, Mark Irvin right now is coming back from the scheduling meeting in the spring. And so a lot of times probably where this would coincide would be that the activities director from the high school could come back and fill us all in if there's any major changes or thoughts moving forward, if there was something why we shouldn't continue to be members with this. I wouldn't see us going away from being a member of the Montana High School Association. So I think we just simply move forward with approval on this.
And this policy ensures Havre School District, correct?
Yep.
And then the individual students present their own insurance or else get it
Yes.
through the school,
Or get it through the
correct?
school. Correct. Yep. And so, you know, once approved by you all, then Mallory will forward these documents over to MHSA. They have to be in by July 15th.
And it looked like they had a note that all the rates have not increased this school year, which is nice.
Correct. Yep.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Gum? Okay. The chair would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the Montana High School Association dues and the catastrophic and concussion insurance.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
It has been moved by Garrett and seconded by Lorraine that we approve item D4, the MHSA dues for catastrophic and concussion insurance. Does any board member wish to speak to the motion? Does any member of the public wish to speak to the motion? Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. And the motion carries unanimously. Okay, item D5, proposed substitute wages for the 2025 and 2026 school year.
Yes. I recommend the following adjustments to the Havre Public School substitute wages for 25-26 as presented. I'll give you a little background, then I'll let Holly talk about substitute wages. So Holly, Moses, Cheryl, Beth, and myself have kind of sat down, had numerous meetings in terms of looking at kind of what other districts are doing and trying to make sense of where wages should be in today's market. We found that we were extremely out of date at Havre Public Schools with what we were offering substitutes. These adjustments will not only bring us up to a level that we can hopefully obtain subs, but also allow us just that ability outside of our teaching and pair groups to also provide substitutes when it comes to clerical food service with some of those other groups that are out there. So, and Holly, if you had some thoughts kind of on wages or numbers, that'd be great.
Mhm. Yeah. They're so important. Are there any questions for Mr. Gum or Mrs. Bitts? I think this is great and hopefully we'll get more people interested in
Yes.
helping us. So. Yeah,
So that'll go into effect July 1, the new year, right?
Mhm.
are there any other questions or comments? Okay, the chair would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the proposed substitute wages for the 25-26 school year.
Okay, and is there a second?
I'll second.
It has been moved by Kevin and seconded by Lorraine that we approve item D5 on the proposed substitute wages for 2025-26 school year. Does any board member wish to speak to the motion? Does any member of the public wish to speak to the motion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. And the motion passes unanimously. And we'll move forward with item D6, which is the MSGIA annual renewal.
Yes, so you should have the documents included in your packet. I recommend moving forward with MSGIA for the 25-26 school year, following a review of the insurance packages presented. Because the timeline when these come out, sometimes they come out like we just did recently, kind of late in the game. And so, since they could not be here formally to go through that, I had them do a Zoom call with Moses, Holly, and myself, with Matt Comack. So basically, in a nutshell, our property and liability went up about $15,000 from a year ago, which is about a 5.1% rate increase. Some of the increase we'll see, which in the grand scheme of things for insurance, $15,000 isn't very much compared to the numbers we see all the time. But 2% of that 5.1% increase was due to building value adjustments. So just in terms of what our property is worth. The additional 3.1% increase occurred from, for instance, we had gym floor renovation that we had to handle. So that was a part of it. And then also having minimal liability coverage out of the Hooterite colony. So that was another aspect that cost a little bit of money. Overall, Moses and I were very pleased with the margin of that to only be 15,000. We felt like that was pretty good. And then in talking with Matt Comack, he felt like outside of then the gym floor, we've done an excellent job in terms of mitigating situations coming up. Holly's done a really nice job making sure that safe schools, we're always pushing that and trying to get information out there for all of our staff at different times of the year on how to be safe, right? And kind of reduce that liability. So they felt like that next year, we're hoping to see, of course, a 0% or even a reduction in the next renewal. So that was positive. We felt like, at the same time, Holly and Moses and I, when we need to use MSGIA, they're very responsive. We feel like we have excellent service. They were just here today running a training for custodians in high school. So Brenda came up from Billings, I guess, to run that herself. So, they're very on the spot with our needs. So I'd recommend moving forward with them.
That's great. Are there any questions for Mr. Gum on the MSGIA renewal?
Well, I remember going through those last year, we
Mhm.
shopped,
Right.
and made sure
Yeah.
that we're at least, well.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we.
Yeah.
Hopefully they have a good partnership.
Mhm. Yeah, especially when they're responsive and
Very responsive. Yep.
the chair would entertain a motion at this point.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the MSGIA annual renewal.
And is there a second?
I'll second that.
It has been moved by Garrett and seconded by Lorraine that we approve item D6, the MSGIA annual renewal as presented. Does any board member wish to speak to the motion? And does any member of the public wish to speak to the motion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. And the motion passes unanimously. Okay, next up is item D7, the building administrator agreements for 2025 to 2027.
Yes, I recommend the approval of the building administrator agreements for 25 through 27 school years as presented. Just to give everyone who's on the board a little background. So Tim, Kristen, Holly, Moses, Beth, and myself were part of this process. We were able to settle pretty quickly with this. We made some adjustments by eliminating a section entitled Summer Education Leave, as nobody currently utilizes it. There was also an addition of a yearly work calendar, which will allow the administrators to work with me regarding adjusting their yearly contract days. It eliminates flex time by allowing the supervisor to adjust those days with the administrator as long as they've communicated with me in writing their proposed changes. So an example of this could be such as working additional days over Christmas break or working on a non-support Friday, taking a longer summer break. So we just navigate that internally in writing and sit down. For instance, here on Thursday, we're going to sit down with their checkouts. My secretary has already relayed the calendars to them, so we'll just kind of sit down and look at some adjustments at that time. Finally, we kept their same insurance package along with a 2.5% raise for both 25-26 and 26-27 school years. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions for Mr. Gum? Okay. The chair would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the building administrator agreement from 2025 to 2027.
I don't think he can.
I was just thinking.
He would have to abstain from it. Sorry, just as you did it, I went, wait a second.
Appreciated that very much, Kevin, but I do think you have to abstain. Yeah, we all got-
Madam Chair. I move to approve the building administrator agreement for 2025, 2027.
And is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. It's been moved by Garrett and seconded by Lorraine that we approve the 2025, 2026, or sorry, 2025 to 2027 building administrator agreement as presented. Does any board member wish to speak to the motion? Okay, does any member of the public wish to speak to the motion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. And the motion passes 4-0. Kevin abstained. Next is item D8, the STIP fund investment request.
Yes, I recommend that Havre Public Schools allow Moses Deanna to utilize some of the STIP funds that are currently in our STIP investment account as presented. So I'm gonna have Moses kind of give you a little breakdown of what he's looking for at this time.
So I'm looking to use some of the investment money and put it back into our regular operating bank account, just to cover some of the general fund deficits, and then just completing some of the essential end of the year purchases and obligations, as well as funding the rest of the teacher and admin summer months contract payroll.
Okay, are there questions for Moses on this request?
You're taking everything we have in the, right?
Yep,
To
just to
cover.
be on a safe
And then
side. Yes, sir.
hopefully in the fall, we can put
Something
some more
back.
back
Yep.
away depending on what thing.
That's the plan.
So it's more a cash flow timing issue, not that we have that full deficit, right?
Correct.
And just so you know, Garrett, as we kind of move forward, so as Moses and I kind of talked through the big picture with this too, we feel like the adjustments that we've made, not only from a staffing standpoint, but with the inflation bill passing as well as the STARS Act, we feel like by the time we get to next year at this point, we should be actually up in the positive in terms of money. So we won't have to utilize investment money in the future. And we might actually have money to put back into interlocal and flex funds within our general budget. So we're seeing this as a positive moving forward, but just wants to look out and then be able to put money back in after covering.
We gonna have to reestablish with them or like do any form, I mean, we're
That's
good.
the good thing about
It'll
it.
just be a you'll call and they'll just, okay.
Yeah, we're golden.
Just since we're pulling everything, I didn't know if we have to go through the process. Right.
Are there any other questions on the STIP fund? Okay, the chair would entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve the STIP fund investment request as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it has been moved by Lorraine and seconded by Kevin that we approve item D8, the STIP fund investment request as presented. Does any board member wish to speak to the motion? Does any member of the public wish to speak to the motion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. And all those opposed, raise your hand. You didn't vote, so, okay. We'll do that again. All those in favor, raise your hand. And the motion passes unanimously.
Decide you're done.
You can vote now, Kevin.
I think he's done for the night.
Okay, this is our public comment section. This is an opportunity for any member of the audience to bring to the attention of the board questions or relevant comment concerning school district matters not on the agenda. The board may not take any action on matters brought to the attention of the board unless specific notice of that matter is included in a properly noticed agenda. Therefore, in the public comment portion of the meeting, the board will not discuss or take any action, but may refer a matter presented to a future agenda. If you have comments, please come to the microphone so the board can hear you. Please note that the board is bound by ethical practice, district policy, negotiated agreements, and Montana statute to protect the rights of its employees. Are there any persons present wishing to comment at this time? Okay, We'll move forward with the superintendent's report.
Yes. So Havre Public Schools closed out the school year up 11 students from the previous year. If you look at the enrollment trend in your packet, you can see that, we're definitely at the high as we've closed out. In May of this year at 1782 versus 2021 school year, 1655. Now, granted, you'll still have to take out 56 of those students from the colony, but next year we'll be able to count those officially on a roll count. So still leaves us in a positive of about 70 plus students from 5 years ago. So the trend that we're seeing is still continuing to move forward in the right direction. So all super positive information.
And I just want to celebrate the fact that we had, a very low dropout rate this year at Havre High School. It looks like we had, a minimal, we had a difference of 8 students, it looks like, from when we started to when we ended. And if you look back to, 4 years ago, I mean, we had a lot of students we were
Right.
losing. So I just want to commend our administrators and our teachers and our staff, because that is just a huge improvement and one that we really made a priority, and we're looking to keep those students and retain them and help them graduate. So thank you.
While we're talking about that too, so I was talking with Dustin a little bit today. You always have those different publications that come out from different sources in terms of high school rankings. And so on one that I had that came out in April of 25, Havre High Schools were at 23rd in terms of high schools in Montana. So that's always a great thing, right? And we have about 171 high schools in the state of Montana. So, lots of positive thoughts and
Yeah.
feedback always about what's going on. So these guys are doing a great job up there.
That's great. Thank you, guys. That's fabulous. Any questions on the enrollment report? Okay, we'll move forward with the principal reports.
Sure. Haley is on her way, so we are going to start with Highland Park then.
Good evening, everybody. So first, I just kind of want to close out our student enrollment for the year. Our kindergarten class ended with 123 students in it. Our first grade, 137. And I know that everybody's dying to know the class of 2038, which is our incoming kindergarten students, right now sits at 80 as of today. Support Friday, we saw an overall increase in our building. Our lowest, which happened to fall the day after Halloween, was 83 students. And then our very last Support Friday, which is a popular one, especially with our first graders, because we go on a little field trip, 150 students. We averaged 104, and we had an overall increase of 148 students present across all Support Fridays from 23-24. Monday through Thursday, our average daily attendance, trimester 1, 92.79%, trimester 2, 90.02%, and trimester 3, 92.02%. So a guy that's sitting up on the top up there, Mr. Nitz, told me once anything over 90 is good. So we feel good about our attendance rates in those 3 trimesters, even especially those 2 months. I think it was February and March where it seemed like everybody was sick.
Yeah.
So we still made it. We continued with our push in IEFA at Highland Park. I really want to give a huge thanks to Katie Marsenko and Catherine Holt for all of their work. Mrs. Holt facilitates a Support Friday activity every Friday, and a different class gets to go as part of our extension block. We had the powwow demonstration. We had storytellers. Katie and Mrs. Holt brought in a gal who did a pictograph and poetry lesson. It was just a lot of great different things that we hadn't seen before, and a lot of teamwork, and I appreciate both of them. We talked about math intervention at the beginning of the year. We're going to roll out an A/B intervention groups next year, utilizing 2 selected math interventions that we worked this year to select. I want to thank Lisa Passon, Danielle Fetchner, Corey Meldrum, Laura Bradshaw, and Erin McLean, because they took a lot of time kind of looking at where are our gaps and what do we need. And yeah, we're excited to kind of pilot that and see how it all works out next year. The science, fine arts, and PE went through the curriculum process and created new curriculum documents and chose new curriculum. So I want to thank Mr. Christensen, Mrs. Minnick, Mrs. St. Mark's, Mrs. Stortz, Mrs. Klein, and Mrs. Tackett, as well as Mrs. Bitts for all their time and effort to complete the process. I know that those documents are cumbersome and take a lot of time, and we're excited about our new science curriculum. It seems really user-friendly and very engaging, and I know that fine arts and PE are as well. I made it my own personal goal this year to kind of target our tier 3 attendance on support Fridays. I tracked attendance and progress throughout the year. I made phone calls home to encourage students to attend. We had our 3 fabulous reading interventionists. They were pulling students in preferably one-on-one settings to kind of review and drill skills where kids saw the biggest deficit. And I don't really have this to compare to because I should have kept this data last year, but I didn't think of it at the time. But we had 41% of our tier 3 students attend support Fridays in kindergarten and 44% of our attended support Fridays in first grade. So I was hoping for 20. So 40% was a welcome find there. And that'll be something I'll continue to kind of keep tabs on and kind of push to parents. We made some adjustments to our schedule. We added a specials block on support Friday. We adjusted some recess times, and then we made our para time based on need. So we look at our attendance, who's got the most kids, they get the most support. Just some positives that came out of Highland Park this year. We recognized 122 students. We call them PAX Leaders of the Month, just kind of those kids that are just awesome all the time. And it's fun to celebrate those guys. So we made 126 positive phone calls or interactions with parents, which was wonderful. We met our attendance goal of 90% average daily attendance in every month except for February and March. So we're hoping everybody can stay healthy next year, and maybe we'll meet it in those months too. I just wanted to take a minute too. We have some fabulous volunteers at Highland Park. Priscilla Presnell, Sarah Harada, Reen Lenhart, and Christina Marsh, PTO, as well as high school groups, student council, and Key Club. I can call those guys, hey, how about Halloween Carnival? And 30 high school kids show up, and they're fantastic and make our life so much easier. So we super appreciate them. Last thing I wanted to follow up. I brought some readers to my last time we did our student presentation, and we talked about Dibble scores, and I kind of showed you that scary pie chart that showed the beginning of the year kindergarten. So I had to follow this up because I felt like we made some fantastic gains. So if you remember, I told you that 54% of our kindergarten students started the year below benchmark, and we ended up with 73% at benchmark or above, and 10% in strategic, which is our tier 3 category. And then I want to also thank the first grade team and that reading interventionist instructional pairs. It's everybody. We had 71% of our first graders in composite benchmark by the end of the year, and only 11% in tier 3. So just fantastic work by everybody. Thanks to the teachers, instructional paraprofessionals, reading interventionists, Lisa Pass, and parents, everybody. Effective instruction takes a team effort. And I think we're seeing the results of a cohesive team that's developed effective systems and strategies to support students. So I just wanted to shout out everybody and thank you. Yeah, it's been a great year. And, we look forward to welcoming the class of 2038 in August, and can't wait to see what they can do. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Mrs. Kreiner. What a great year at Highland Park. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Oh, it sounds 8:38.
Oh, all right then. That's where they'll be.
Good evening, board. How are you?
Good.
Good. So I took the time before the board meeting to pass out a little information pamphlet for you. Just some updated enrollment on the front. From our November report, we were down 2 students overall throughout the school year. So with everybody in and out, that really wasn't that bad. I did not look at how many we had going in and out, but I would say 20 to 25 kids in and out of the building over the course of the year. We do have some staffing changes for next year, but overall, we're feeling really comfortable with where we're at as of now going into next year. Some attendance rates on that second page, second grade overall, we ended with a 92.43% attendance rate for second grade, 4 kiddos with perfect attendance, missing 0 days, 15 between that 0 to 3 days. Third grade, we ended with 89.94%. We had a few kiddos there that went to homeschool, but didn't transfer out quite yet, which really affected that rate there. We did have one kiddo with perfect attendance in third grade and 13 between 0 and 3 days. Our Support Friday numbers, we averaged 42.5% of our student population there on those Support Fridays. So an average of 114 students per Support Friday. And in my building, it is the same as Mrs. Kreiner. That day after Halloween, we saw the lowest amount of kiddos there. MTSS, I kind of gave a little bit different view of that this time around. Last time I had some numbers of kiddos participating in each of those tiers. This time I kind of gave you a snapshot of our overall growth. While the MTSS program wants us to achieve that 8% growth, we were able to do that with reading in second grade and math in both second and third grade, leaving our overall scores, the 8% growth highlighted in blue there. But I did want to make a note that every single one of our students made growth over the course of the year. It might not have been the growth that the program wanted to see from those benchmarks that we had set, but every single one of our kiddos did make that growth throughout the year. Also noted there that as the year progresses, those goals increase. So those pretty little pictures in the middle, I showed you a third grade benchmark student, what that would look like for them. And you can kind of see those lines plateau, increase, plateau as the year goes on. That first one will be from a kid that has been benchmark all year. He's where he or she is where they need to be. That second one that I'm showing you, that's a kiddo that started out the year at benchmark where they should be, and then struggled a little bit. We didn't make much progress from July to, well, August to December. But once we hit that point where we're in that below or that well below range, you're going to see a lot more data points. Those will be our progress monitoring. So even though this kid ended with a well below score, which is the one that we record through MTSS, you can see that period between December and April where that kid is really increasing in his scores, getting a 29 on that last one. However, the one that's reported is 15. So some of that data, when we look at our fall to spring scores, I don't know if it accurately reflects what the kid can do. It was what that kid could do on that certain test at that moment. So just putting that in the back of your minds. Those progress monitoring, we only do those, I think I said that for the kids that are at that below or well below. So we're pretty proud of our kids and our team that we have working with all of our kids on reading to increase their abilities throughout the year. I did include some changes for next year. I'm trying to take some of the things that Mrs. Kreiner does at her building and implement those at Lincoln McKinley. I've heard that the PAX leaders, PAX ambassadors, that works really well to get those kids focused on that behavior being good in every part of the building, not just in the classroom, to be recognized there. But I also want to take some things that Mrs. Johnson does along with the middle school and high school. We start getting letter grades in third grade. I'm going to start honor roll for third grade. So we can kind of bridge that gap between littles and our upper elementary and go through that transition at Lincoln McKinley. Along with that, displaying attendance to really encourage attendance participation, point out those good behaviors, have those rewards for attendance, for behaviors, for academics, while displaying those AR goals, having class competitions. That seems to motivate them. Starting a student of the month, which Mrs. Johnson also does, middle school, high school as well. And then this year we started our Million Word Reader Club. We had 5 kiddos in our building read 1 million words or more through their AR tests. So we're going to have a big board with all their smiling faces starting this summer sometime. School community, we're going to create that bulletin board in the foyer again, moving forward. And we have all of these flag holders outside of the school that I would like the classes to kind of come up with ideas for what we should be displaying outside the school as well. So really bring in that sense of community for those second and third grade kiddos. We did have quite a few field trips this year. Those are listed there. We had some focusing on American Indian culture and local history, plant life cycles, currency, also reading fluency. And then we do have some building and grounds improvements for this year. And then kind of my wish list, future things that I would like to start thinking about as well. what I'm most excited about, our foyer is going to hopefully get a fresh new coat of paint. So our 12 shades of yellow that are in the foyer right now are going to go away. And we're going to get some new playground equipment as well. Some of those bigger wish list items are on there. When that's going to happen, I don't know, just something to keep in the back of my mind. But overall, we had a fantastic staff at Lincoln McKinley this year. Moving forward, there's not many changes, so we're thankful for that. And it has been a great first year at Lincoln McKinley. As principal there, I look forward to many more. And thank you to the support of the administration team for all of that and the support of the staff that we do have at Lincoln McKinley School. So we're looking forward to better things next year.
Thank you, Mrs. Breckus. That was a great report and sounds like a great year at Lincoln McKinley. And thank you to you and all the teachers and staff there, and fun to see your goals and things you're looking forward to next year too.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to report on our 2024-25 school year. So I'm passing out a pamphlet for you guys to look at some of the information. Okay, so on that first page there, I just have that student enrollment. So at the beginning of the school year, we started out there with 299 students and ended our school year with 293. So lost a couple, but not too many. For our monthly attendance, we were in the 90 percentile up until February. We had quite a few kiddos out due to sicknesses. And so when you look at that yearly average, our fourth grade students were at 91.3%. And then our fifth grade students for that yearly average, they were at a 90.3%. So that piece looked good. Support Friday, just like the last two principals have reported, that Support Friday after Halloween was our least attended one. We had 70 students show up that day. And then our January 10th Support Friday, we had 132 students. So that was our best attended. Overall, we had 1,746 total number of students attend our Support Fridays at Sunnyside. So I felt like that was a solid number there. That middle page just lists out all of our curriculum and the additional resources that we've used at Sunnyside this year. And so I just want to give my staff a shout out. I feel like they did a really good job supporting the academic needs of our students. After that first round of benchmark testing, we were able to indicate that fluency was a struggle. Our students weren't progressing like we had wanted them to. So with that being said, we all came together and collaborated, and we came up with the implementation of a partner read, which is a fluency practice that both grade levels did on a daily basis, just to support that recognized deficit. And so between the support or the implementation of that piece within our tier 1 instruction, as well as really targeting our tier 2 and tier 3 interventions, we really tried to hone in on those specific deficits for our students. So just a couple weeks ago, I ended up meeting with our MTSS coordinator, and she did share the data with me, and it shows that our building was able to make that 8% growth in ELA and math. So I'm excited to celebrate that academic growth, hard work that my teachers had this school year. So that was great. When on the next page over there, just the student accomplishments, we had a lot of fun things going on that tied to that academic base. We recognized 36 different students for our student of the month. So each month we took a boy and a girl from each grade level and recognized their academic performance, behavioral performance, and just, their overall involvement within the school system. And then we were able to give out 184 positive office referrals. And so that also ties to that PACS program that we have within our district. And again, it's just really nice to have those positive conversations with parents, even though every time I called, they're like, what did my kid do? No, I promise this is a good thing. So gotta break that barrier. Student council, they were here at the last board meeting, so they kind of reported and shared with you all the amazing things that they did this last year, but just their involvement within the school and the community was strong, and there was a lot of ownership and pride. So I was really happy to see all the things that they did. Our trade fair brought in a nice chunk of money, and so the fifth grade students did decide which 3 charities they wanted to donate, or organizations that they wanted to donate to. And so they ended up donating a portion of their money to the Boys and Girls Club, HRDC Women and Children's Abuse Center, and then the Havre Animal Shelter. So it was a nice variety that the students picked to donate that money to. Mrs. Miller really stepped it up this year and brought some great ideas to support reading within our building. We really pushed setting those AR goals and meeting those high expectations. We had a total of 44 students reach and read at least 1 million words. We had 12 students read 2 million words. 1 student read over 3, 1 student read over 4, and then 1 student read over 5 million words this year. So it's pretty amazing. With a total of 174 million words read. I was pretty impressed with that. And then we recently recognized 2022 fifth grade students. They received the Presidential Academic Award. So those students needed to be on honor roll for all 6 trimesters while being at Sunnyside, so their 4th and 5th grade year. And so they received a certificate, a pin, and then we had a special ceremony for those students alongside their parents. And then we had a fun little breakfast for them. So that was a great opportunity for those students who worked hard academically. And then just on the backside, all of the different happenings that took place. And, I really could not have done it this year without the support of my staff, as well as just all the different people within the community who came out to help, improve the academics of our students at Sunnyside. So it was a great school year, and I'm excited for summer just to spend some time with my family, but I am looking forward to next year. Do you guys have any questions for me? Thank you.
Thanks, Cassie.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. It's fun to learn about all the stuff you guys did this year and the amazing academic growth you had. And I talked to Mrs. Miller, and she had said you guys thought you would have $12 million readers for the year. And then you guys had 44, which just blew me away. So that was amazing.
All right, good evening, trustees. It's pretty nice in here, actually. It's not 100 degrees, so it's a good day. Front page, got a little bit of enrollment data for you. We started out at 6th graders, 136. We ended with 135. 7th graders, we started out with 126. We ended with 121. 8th grade, we started with 127. We ended with 123. For a total of this year, starting with 391, where last year we started with 383, and then ended this year with 379, and last year 376. So up 3 kids at the end versus last year. Numbers are also a little bit misguiding. We didn't actually lose as much as we did like throughout the year. We actually had 4 kids who they never enrolled in another school until after we already did our count. So, 4 less there. A little bit of student data on the inside. Our attendance for this year to last year. 6th graders had a 92.1% last year. This year it improved to 92.5. Our 7th graders had a 90.42% attendance rate last year. They improved to 91.23% this year. So both the 7th grade groups and 8th grade groups wanted to be here a little bit more, which is awesome. So our total attendance rate is 91.62 this year, which is about 1% higher than last year. We had honor roll. Last year we had sixth graders, 41% of them made honor roll for the final end of the year celebration. Seventh graders, 29%, eighth graders, 32% this year. It did drop a little bit. We went to sixth graders, 28%, seventh graders, 38%, and eighth graders, 31%. The thing that's to me was funny about that is last year we didn't have advisory. We had less numbers that supported Fridays, but we had more kids making honor roll. This year we had advisory. They had that extra 30 minutes to do some work, get some extra help from their teachers. Our increase in Support Friday was ginormous. And so that number to me was just a little bit interesting, especially when our teaching staff was almost the exact same. So couldn't really tell you the dynamic on that one. Inside page, we had Support Friday attendance. If you see all of those numbers, but November 1st, like all the other schools, were way above in the hundreds. Halloween had a little bit of effect on us that day. And also April 11th, we had 102 that day, but that's because track was gone. So that took away over 100 kids from the building that day. So ultimately we went from 1,600 to about 2,000 in attendance, which was a 24% increase from the year before on Support Fridays. So if you take away November 1st and maybe a track that wasn't on a Friday, that's probably going to be more like a 40% increase. So it was awesome to see those kids showing up and just enjoying a nice, calm, relaxed day and working on some homework. For MAP growth, last year we had sixth graders. They were in the 44th percentile, seventh graders in the 34th percentile, and eighth graders in the 32nd percentile for reading. This year, those sixth graders jumped up to the 55th percentile for MAP growth, which is huge for them. So that's a huge credit to our seventh grade English staff that did an amazing job. And then our eighth graders jumped from the 32nd percentile to the 41st percentile as well. So our English staff does amazing work with kiddos when it comes to reading skills. Math department, last year we were in the 73rd percentile, which is just an astronomical number for growth. Seventh graders 51st and eighth graders 56th. All three of those were above national averages for growth. This year we did drop down to 55th percentile, 43rd percentile, and 41st percentile. And ultimately, I think that really just comes down to math teacher backed out on us 2 months before school and we never got it filled. So class sizes were a little bit larger and we lost math intervention, which Mrs. Henricks and Mrs. Otten, Miss Jetty, and really Mrs. Hickman the year before did a fantastic job with getting some extra base skills for kids so that they could do the algebra that they needed to do in the classroom. So again, I think that math department data almost kind of needs to be thrown out just because it's the exact same staff and I know they work their butts off. Big shout out on the back to student council. Mrs. Henricks stepped back this year because she had some things that she just needed to accomplish, like taking over the Algebra 1 program for Mrs. Hickman, and she really wanted to be very good at that. So TJ Schwarzkopf stepped up and he did an amazing job working with our student council president, Lexi Sparks, vice president, Melody Bodner Holmes, and secretary Braxton Hughes. This year they put on 2 dances. They even did a semi-formal dance, which had great turnouts and ultimately raised about, I think, about 3,200. I think it was about $3,200 they raised in those 2 dances, which ultimately pays for our end of year barbecue. It pays for our color run activities that we do at the end of the year. They put on a talent show. They put on the spoons competition. They did an 8th grade trivia thing here in the last week of school. They got prizes for each and every 8th grader to come. You know, some prizes were a boom box, like what do you call them? Like a monster boom box, a 40-inch TV, and then all the way down to like some people just got like little miniature penguins. But everyone got something. And TJ spent a lot of time to put that all together. They helped out with our last day activities. They were serving burgers. On Pie Day, they put that on. 10 staff members, including myself, volunteered to maybe get pied. 5 of the 10 got pied. This year I did not, so that was nice. Well, I didn't, but Lexi Sparks at the end kind of got me with just the
Whipped
spray
cream.
can anyways. So I still kind of did get it. They did advisory sabotage. That is where you have buckets and the team that raises the most money got a prize for their advisory. But if you put pennies in one, it takes away points. Dollar bills add in points. They had to put on a fall art contest. They did that for students and staff. We had the homecoming float they participated in, door decorating during Christmas. They did Valentine's Day sales. They did singing grams. They met up with Mrs. Robertson and said, hey, could we work with you to do some singing telegrams? I think they had 4 songs chosen that they'd go around and sing to kids. They did little stuffies this year. I think last year it was like cookies and stuff, but they bought little teddy bears on like a keychain and gave those out. And then suckers. So once again, he did an amazing job with them. And Lexi Sparks was an amazing president for us. Special thanks. You know, the community really does step up and help us out here. Abby Boyce took on a long-term substitute PE job for us when we lost a teacher at Christmas time. She did a great job with that. And also our PE staff, Mr. Pomeroy and Mrs. Philly, is kind of guiding her through all of that along the way. Katie Marcinko put on a powwow and worked a lot with Mrs. Haney as our Indian Ed coordinator for the building. And we invited Highland Park and Lincoln McKinley to participate in that. And that was quite an amazing event. It's something that we will probably look forward or look to do almost every year. Angela Messenger, she plays the piano at all of our concerts, and she comes in here and helps practice the weeks before and with the kids. You know, she does an amazing job. Pat O'Hearn still keeps coming in and wanting to work with kids and small groups and one-on-one basis to perfect their craft and band, and working on, I think she really sticks kind of to the clarinet, the flute, and the trumpet, if I remember right. Dave and Pam Wilson, every year they say this is the last year, but then they come back the next year and they help us out with rock climbing for 8th graders. I was fortunate enough to have Pam Wilson as a PE teacher for myself, so she taught me how to dance. Dane Kraske and Barney Leeds, they helped us flip 425 burgers in the hot sun on the last day of school. They've now done it 3 years in a row. Dane, we also got his own spatula that is engraved because Mark Irvin used to always steal the big spatula. So we got him a little bit longer one. It says DK's, not Irvin's. And then we also have Crystal Pester and Morgan Goley, our 2 paras in the title program that ultimately subbed almost every single day after Christmas. And they just did their wonders for us. We have a few staff members leaving. Mrs. Stickle, who we all know and love, has put in a lot of great years here at Havre Middle School, and I think Sunnyside and Lincoln. She's been English teacher, special education teacher, elementary teacher. She does just wonderful with kids. Mrs. Armstrong helped us out this year when we lost that history teacher right before school started. She said, all right, we'll do it. So she stepped up. She is moving on, but she really did help us out this year and when we were in a tight spot. And then Mrs. Payan is leaving special education to be a family, and she was one fantastic special education teacher. And just what she did for our kids over in that wing was absolutely amazing. So, questions for me?
Well, thank you, Mr. Leeds.
All right. Well, you all have a great summer.
So many good things happening at the middle school, and thanks for sharing with them with us. I mean, that map growth in English was amazing, and especially neat that you have kids, more kids that want to be at school this year than last year. So thanks for sharing that.
Nice job, Leeds. Thanks for the opportunity here to speak tonight. But before I start, I'd like to thank Lorraine, Kristen for giving us a hand on the graduation. That was toasty. It was a beautiful day. Real quick summary of graduation. We had 101 graduates, 99 walked across the stage that day. And a couple of youngsters received theirs afterward. And just a quick reminder, we had 2 youngsters from that class graduate with the class of 24. Side note for you. Last year, I'm not really sure. I guess I kind of threw some ideas together, but I had some comparisons for just kind of for fun. But last year's class of 25, coming into their senior year, we had 33 students who had 20 credits or more going into that. The class of 2026 currently has 73 students with 20 high school credits or more rolling into their senior year. So I'm not sure why the jump, but that's impressive. Feels like to me. We're not going to be the highlight on student attendance at Havre High School this year, unfortunately. Our school attendance was 84.9%, which is a decrease of 5.2% from the year prior, which does not include Support Fridays. Our Support Friday numbers were up we had 1,926 kids show up this past year, and last year we had 1,567. So there's an increase there. Why the decrease in attendance? We have many youngsters participating in a fully remote option at Havre High School. You guys, I know, are aware of that. And we made the decision second semester to work to provide a better source of accountability on our end for them. So if a youngster didn't log in to do any type of school work with Edgenuity for 3 consecutive days, we marked them absent. We're trying to do better with a kid who's out doing life and trying to earn their high school diploma. So that's as far as Jeremiah wasn't able to. The Infinite Campus doesn't allow you to take certain kids off on the reports. Our number would have been a tick below 90% either way, but that's why the gap, near as we could tell by looking at the data, why it was, because we started that second semester at the high school. So anyway, that's whatever that is what it is. That's the number. Student behavior data this year, we had 90 students who were able to allow us to provide some correction with a discipline referral. That was down 1% from the year prior, for a total of 142 discipline referrals over the course of the year, which is down 22% from the year prior. So both of those moving in a positive direction. Student academics, I'll come back to that. College credit. I don't know. I think it's a highlight for us. I'm not sure why. I guess I'm a real fan of kids chasing their dreams and us to support them with some dollars with that advanced opportunities grant. A dual credit, there's a couple different ways. You can do it through a college, either online or in person. So the online dual credit numbers for Havre High School this year through MSU Northern, 24 students earning 51 credits. College of Great Falls, 37 students earning 243 credits. That's all online. Concurrent enrollment taught by Havre High School staff at Havre High School for college credit through Montana State University Northern, 224 students earning 1,262 credits. And through College of Great Falls, 31 students earning 124 college credits. And then we had 20 students go to MSU Northern's campus and earn 159 credits for this past school year. So the total credits earned during this school year, 1,839 college credits earned. Last year was 1,141 credits. Substantial increase. Part of that is our counseling staff is, I don't want to use the word doing a better job, because that would imply that last year, I'm not implying that. They're working harder to help kids understand their options if college after high school is their thing. You guys know this from, well, you don't. The incoming senior class is 140 to 150 consistent. So it's huge compared to other classes. That also played into it. And so the neat thing about it, last year we spent on 1,141 credits, We spent approximately $39,000 out of the Advanced Opportunities Grant. We got a real bargain this year for 1,839 credits because we spent approximately $40,555. So our increase was about $1,500 and about 700 credits. Why is that? I'm not 100% sure, but I know that you guys know that the college's first 6 credits are free. So we're tracking that better. The colleges, to my knowledge, still do not communicate well with one another. So you can get 6 free credits at Northern and 6 free credits through the College of Great Falls. So anyway, I think it's neat. I don't know. It's cool. And then we have a little side note. We have 18 students currently looking to pursue 79 college credits on the campus of MSU Northern this summer. A side note with that, parents are paying for that. So we're going to cover the school year. They'll cover the summertime. So anyway, our work-based learning numbers this year, were 19 students in the areas of education, agriculture, auto mechanics, business, and health and human services. We had a student academic award ceremony. Real quick reminder of how kids earn letters and pins at Havre High. 3.8 GPA for the last 3 semesters earns a letter. And once you earn a letter, then you have a 3.8 for the next 2 semesters to get a pin. Class of 27, 18 students earned an academic letter. Class of 26, 20 students earned an academic pin. And the graduating class of 25, 2 students earned an academic letter and 15 students earned an academic pin. So successful numbers. I know Coda spoke to you guys about the MUS scholarship. I'm not sure people understand how big a deal that is to get a scholarship valued at over $20,000 for your academics, but it's a big deal. And then on a little side note, we're starting to work on Perkins. You guys know Perkins sponsors the CTE programs at the high school. It allows schools to afford things they wouldn't normally afford, I think is what it is in a nutshell, near as I've learned over the last couple of years. Last year's school year, we got approved for $50,170. For some reason, schools kick money back. So then we had to do an amendment because we got an additional 4,000 some odd dollars. So last year, Perkins, we spent, well, it's still this year because Moses has another couple of weeks to get the stuff transferred to spend the rest, but we'll spend $54,199. I logged on to Perkins today. I thought it was a mistake. So I called Eric at OPI, but our original dollar amount here is $65,480. So I'm not sure why the increase of $15,000, but we will spend it. So that's kind of a neat little thing. Hopefully Eric doesn't tell me that's a number backward, but I don't know. It was a great year at Havre High. We had a ton of fun and we got a bunch of great kids out there that are trying to figure out what they want to do when they get out of here. And it's been fun to be a part of that journey. So we're looking forward to next year. It's going to be a big senior class, and they're rolling. Any questions about Havre High? Thanks for the time.
Thanks, Mr. Kratzky. It was a great year at Havre High. It was really fun to attend graduation and see just the excitement in all the students and just be reminded of kind of that culmination of all we do, and neat to hear too just how much your dual credit programs have taken off. That's really phenomenal. And I think those kids are going to look back and just be so grateful just financially and academically that they took advantage of that. So I think that's really neat that we offer that many opportunities. So thank you. Okay. And now we have our activity director report.
Yes. As you know, like I mentioned, Mark, come on down, Heather. Mark is on his way back from the scheduling meeting. So he just kind of tied up the spreadsheet. You saw numbers similar to this last month. I think at the beginning of we talked about last time It was volleyball, he had on, he talked about volleyball. And now it looks like he's included cross country, football, golf, high school boys basketball, high school girls basketball, swimming and wrestling. He did tell me that he does not have the spring sports on there yet, just based on the numbers weren't finalized. Kind of just recently closed out the year. So, as you know, this was kind of brought to my attention from Chairman Shealy. So he was kind of interested in seeing what is the cost per sport of athletics at Havre High School. And then he also wanted to know what is the cost per sport at Havre Middle School. And so Heather's going to share with you what it looks like from the middle school perspective. This spreadsheet just kind of gives you a cost breakdown per sport at Havre High School. So. And I believe in the following month too, we've got the rest. That was one that, thank you, Heather, that was broken out. So.
I don't know how much you want me to speak. The pamphlet kind of speaks for you, but you can see the individual costs per activity on there. One thing to kind of note that, because I gave it to my husband to proofread, and yet there's still a comma missing on the back page that I had to write in because I couldn't let it go. Anyway, there's a difference between the girls' basketball and boys' basketball. And he's like, why is that a difference? And I said, well, mostly just because of probably a couple of further trips. But then I remembered that I had 1 or 2 girls basketball trips where there was a bus driver in training. And so I paid 2 bus driver salaries for that trip. So I think that's probably where that discrepancy comes from. But otherwise you can see kind of the cost breakdown per activity there for it. That's comprised of your bus driver's salaries, your bus driver meals, refs, activity workers, so the people who take tickets at the door or do book or clock, any of those kinds of things. Technology fees, we have to pay to use the athletic.net software for the track meets, and we have to pay to use track wrestling for our wrestling tournament. And then we also have to pay track wrestling fees when our kids go to a tournament that's also using track wrestling. So there's a lot of extra costs in there. Facility fees, that's like greens fees and stuff when we go to a golf tournament. And then on the back, you can see the total overall transportation cost. And you can see that's a major chunk of the overall operating cost for activities. Because the total cost also includes that $20,000 for transportation. So really it's about $12,000 to run activities without transportation. So. Any questions?
On a quick side note, Heather did not have much time to put this together, so I really appreciate how quickly Heather was able to gather this information. She did an excellent job. So.
And for future reference, the Black Mountain software reports are really dumb because things go in twice and come out twice. And so there's like double of everything, and it's not real fun to go with a ruler across the line items to figure out what you have and what you don't have.
Thank you, Mrs. Haney.
So, and really, to kind of wrap the activity director portion up, as you can see, when you look at costs of activities, whether that's at Havre High School or Havre Middle School, they're certainly expensive, right? And our location dictates a lot of cost just based on where we're at, right? As you know, when I was in the Bitterroot, and our travel trips were 15 minutes to Corvallis and 20 to Hamilton, and now they're 5.5 hours to Glendive. It's substantially different, right? Substantially different for our kids and our coaches, which I think really puts a high level of commitment into what we do. At the same time, our community supports these activities immensely, right? If you're in Havre for any time, you can see the success that we have all over town. So while they're expensive, and we always try to offset the cost by the gate and all those different variables, at the end of the day, they make a big impact on our kids. And I think they make a big impact on our community in terms of how it's perceived. So they make a difference.
Thank you for that information.
Yep.
Okay, the HPS accreditation report.
Yes. So I'm excited. When you go ahead and take a look, I'll kind of turn this page, but go ahead, include it in your packet. You can kind of read through this report. on mine. I can designate those different sections for you if you'd like. So they're labeled, A, B, C. They've got the different letters, but they correspond to a different section where we turned in the data on. So Holly and myself spent a bazillion hours cranking out data, and Lisa Passon was great in terms of just grabbing documents and inputting everything. So we received regular status, which is that highest level that you want to receive from the state. So that was super excellent. A score of 4 is the highest mark you can receive, while a 3 is still considered proficient. As you can see, we primarily have all 4s across the board in all areas. Again, it was a collective effort from building admin, school board. You all joined us when it came to strat plans and school improvement plans, which was great. And they tie into ESSA. So ESSA is kind of that rubric that OPI uses for placing you where you're at in terms of continuous school improvement. Before we kind of tied up this accreditation process, due to COVID, right, and a variety of factors in the district, we were out of date with a lot of our planning and where we were sitting. That probably includes all the way from how we used our assessments, what was happening in the buildings, right, the master plan for the district. All of those things were a little off kilter, but through a collective effort from a lot of people, a lot of educators, I'm very pleased at where this turned out. As you know, for a school district, the accreditation report is a big one, right? Because that's how you're always looked at from a statewide perspective in terms of what's happening in your building. So for all of our principals, to have these high marks is very reflective of on what they do, as well as in the district on where we're at. So it's excellent news.
Thank you. That's a great job. It's an incredible report. Like you said, I think there were only 2 that I saw that there wasn't a perfect score. So that's
Right.
pretty amazing.
Yeah, excellent.
Anybody else have any questions on the accreditation report?
Maybe just a thank you to Brian and Holly
Yeah.
for the work that they put in,
Yeah,
and everyone else, they had help.
Thank you.
great. Okay, announcements from the chair, I guess. My only announcement would just be a huge thanks to all of our school administrators and staff, and we got through another amazing school year and just want to celebrate that. You guys have done a great job helping kids grow and be safe and be successful in life. And I'm just so grateful to you for that and all the time and energy you put into those kids. So thank you.
Awesome.
Do we have any correspondence?
None at this time.
Okay, and now we'll move to our executive session, which is our out of district student enrollment. Our next agenda item is the consideration of a request to enroll non-resident applicants in accordance with district policy 3141. I have determined that this agenda item involves a right of privacy that exceeds the public's right to know. We will now convene in closed session to review the matter. Do we have any parents that are present tonight? No?
Nope.
Okay. So we'll adjourn it's 7:58. So we'll adjourn and we'll reconvene at, how about 8:05? That sound good? Okay.